Welcome to the SOS-Radio podcast, the supernatural podcast for your lives. I have no special intro for you guys. I am Oscar, the producer of this very good show here. Jason Knight, our main CEO and whatever titles he gives himself, he is not available today. He is out, but this is a bonus episode for you guys. This is a personal bonus episode. And with me today is...
Joseph.
Is it Joe Erie? Also?
Dave Black. Hey.
Hey. And a special guest here with us today.
Jojo.
Little mini Joe. Jojo Erie.
He's not really mini.
Yeah, I'm almost taller than you.
He's just a younger version.
Yeah, stop taking those steroids or drinking milk.
He eats a lot of that chicken breast.
He's a more responsible, younger version of you.
He is definitely all of those things.
I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah, that's a way to put it.
There might be a little truth to that.
I'm wondering where he got it from. Out of chaos, he got some order in there in his life.
He drinks a lot of milk and eats giant chicken breast with steroids.
So, like I said, I'll be moderating, but whatever. Like I said, Jason's out, so he just threw us into the pot, and I'm like, all right, sure, we'll do this.
Yeah, this is a bonus episode. As the listeners may know, the Massachusetts episodes have been rolling out.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't really recorded an episode besides the last one we did, which was the recap. But we really haven't had a chance to kind of rehash our personal experiences
pretty much
that we've had since
touch and base
since the
so this is a good way.
So a lot of crazy things have happened since then. So this is a bonus episode to kind of go over that while it's still fresh in our minds.
Right, and anyone know? I'm not sure when the show is coming out.
I don't know.
We'll figure that out later, I guess.
It came out centuries ago.
That's true. Well, check out our website, sos-radio.com, for any updates on that stuff. Oh, that was fun.
Oh, shit. That's weird.
We just got electrical surge there, but the thing is still picking up, so we're okay.
Do you know what movie that was from? I came out centuries ago.
Sounds really familiar, but
Once Bitten.
Oh,
Jim Carrey.
Okay. Right then.
Come on, Sebastian. Come out of the closet.
That's a terrible.
I came
terrible
out
movie.
centuries ago.
How many terrible movies you mention?
I like that movie. It was awesome. They had a check for the bite mark in the inner thigh.
I barely remember that movie. I'm going to be
Bags in the shower. Bags in the shower.
Oh, God.
It was a terrible.
I like that movie.
It was terrible.
That's not The Accountant.
I saw it. It was on the other day. It was terrible.
Terrible. You didn't use that word.
Who was it? Cynthia Nixon that was in that? One of the ladies from
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, but one of the people.
One of the ladies from Sex and the City.
Ladies,
same shit.
Yeah, but one of the ladies from Sex and the City was in it, or something, as a love interest or something.
Oh, the one in Mannequin?
I don't know.
No, that's Samantha from Sex and not Cynthia Nixon's character. Doesn't matter. Today we're going to start recapping shit from your lives.
Hollywood. Remember Hollywood?
We have witch parties and haunted houses and
but legit stuff.
Creepy figures at the end of the bed to talk about.
So my understanding is that I don't know nothing about this, by the way. You just told me very briefly that you two were involved in one thing, and then Dave has two other separate stories that he's experienced. Yes. So we're going to start with you two first.
Three separate stories. And first one.
Three.
Really quick, let me say, last time we recorded, Dave's like, "Oh, something's here. It's here," and the lights dimmed.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that in Jay's garage?
Vaguely.
You remember that?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that happen in this house.
Okay, well, let's...
That happen again.
All right, great. Let's talk about what's going on.
Maybe
what we experienced.
Telepathic.
Okay, so this was what, about 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago now?
Yeah,
with the witches party?
Yeah.
Right,
Which party?
The witch party. So Joe has...
Who's on first?
Has some friends that are self-described witches. They are Wiccans. They own a little crystal shop over by Joe's house. They were having a party. Joe invited me over to this party because he wanted me to meet these ladies. So I went over there. They were playing Cards Against Humanity, and
Dave got his past lives cards.
Yeah, I got my past lives cards.
They were pretty accurate, though.
Yeah, it was, but any of that stuff, it's like but astrology and horoscopes. It's like all general enough to be like, oh yeah, I guess. So Joe was there with JoJo. And one of the girls that was, I guess, a friend of the owners, the shop owners, was like, "Hey, my aunt's house is over on the next block, and it's haunted. You guys want to come check it out? She's out of town." And we're like, "Yeah, sure. Let's go check it out." So we walked over there. Now this is a very profound experience in my personal journey into the paranormal. I've been doing this since I've been aware of the paranormal existing and this energy existing and being able to feel it since 1998. So it's been 18 years that I've been able to feel it and experience it and know that it was there. And but this was something different. Now, as you probably know from my prior shows, is that I don't particularly buy into the fact that this is like invisible dead people walking the earth that can communicate. I think it's more of just a random energy that might contain in it certain.
How disappointed will you be if you died and you found out that's exactly what it was?
I don't know if I'd be disappointed. I'd
Not because you're wrong, but because like it's only that,
Yeah.
nothing more.
Well, long story short, Joe and I and JoJo go over to this house. And as soon as we walk in, we immediately start feeling stuff. I'm getting stuff out of the bathroom.
We don't say anything at all to each other.
Yeah,
where we
there's
feel
one of
it.
the bedrooms we're getting stuff out of. Joe was feeling it more in one bedroom, the first bedroom, than the back bedroom. I was getting stuff really heavily in the back bedroom. So we're kind of, so it was, who was it, Maureen and what was the other girl, Nina? So Maureen and Nina were in the house with us. So it was just Maureen, Nina, me, and Joe, and JoJo in the house. It's a very small house. It's, a little shoebox-sized house, not a very big house. Maybe, 200 feet by 100 feet, just a small little place. So I go and walk into the back bedroom. That's where I'm feeling it the most, while Joe is in the other bedroom. And the first thing that happened when I walked into the room, other than the overwhelming energy feeling that I normally get, was the name Maureen or Mary popped into my head, which that's never really happened before. And I walked back out to the group, and I said, "Who's Maureen? Who is Maureen?" And the girl that brought us over there is like, "I'm Maureen." I'm like, wait, because there were 8 or 10 people at the party.
Yeah, you did.
I was never.
I never told you her name. Nobody.
I was
said her
never
name.
officially introduced to her. So the name Maureen pops into my head, and it happens to be the person that brought us over there.
I was a little freaked out because I know that actually happened. He never heard her name.
Now, it's possible that somebody had said her name at the party and put that name into my head, but
Sculliness.
I had no idea that was her name.
I never told you I didn't hear anything, but I mean, it is a possibility that, somebody did say that.
But this is the mess up thing. When that name came into my head, the name Maureen
Was it
and
John,
that
right, or
Maureen
something?
or Mary, and I only said who was Maureen when I walked out into the room. But later on, I found out that her aunt that died in the house was also named Mary. So Maureen told us that. So after this kind of revelation of I found out your name by walking into that room without anyone ever telling me your name or introducing us properly. So that was really weird. But once again, that could still be, it might have been I subconsciously overheard somebody say that name, and that's why it was in my head. Anyways.
Right.
So I go back in the room, and then I get the name Johnny. So I come back out, and I say, "Who's Johnny?" And she's like, "I don't know anyone named Johnny. I don't think there's anyone in my family named Johnny. I don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "All right, fine. I'm gonna go back in the room now." She basically told us that her Aunt Mary and her grandmother Ruth passed away in this house. So I go back into the room and I go, "Are you Mary?" And nothing. "Are you Ruth?" And as soon as I say Ruth, it's like all over me, like flushing my face. So I come back out and go, "Okay, it's definitely Ruth in that room." And she's like, "Yeah, that I've always felt that was the room that she was in. Like I always felt my grandmother's presence in that room." Okay, so we've determined that it's Ruth, the grandmother's energy that's in this room. So I go back into the room and I go, "Hey, Ruth, now that I know who you are, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you to go away from me, and I'm going to ask you questions. When I get to the right answer, come to me, come at me." So I go, "When did you die?" Now, Maureen didn't tell us when she died. I had a inkling that it had been, within the last 10 years, but I didn't know for sure. So I said, 2000, 2001, 2002. When I got to 2010, it was all over me. I go back out in the room. I say to Maureen, I'm like, did she die in 2010? And Maureen's like, I don't exactly... I don't remember when she died. I mean, I know it was a few years back, but I don't remember what year it was, honestly. So later on, I looked up her obituary online. She died in 2010, April of 2010.
That was crazy.
So now I've determined that I had this way to communicate with stuff that I never really even thought of before.
Well, at least with some energies that are,
are cooperative,
more receptive enough to it right now.
So I go back into the room and I say, okay, let's try this. I'm trying to prove that I'm actually communicating with you, Ruth. So tell me the date you were married. And I went through. She basically told me that she had been married to her grandfather for a really long time. So I started in like 1940, and I kind of counted up, and I was getting like something in the late 40s, like 47 or 48, and I kept coming out and being like, was it 47 or 40? Because Maureen actually had the marriage certificate in her hand.
Whoa, really?
Ooh. Yeah. So I was trying to get the date, and I wasn't able. I kept getting like all these false readings and wasn't able to get the date. But when I had that situation where I asked the dates, the 2001, 2002, 2003.
Probably because it's fresh.
JoJo was standing next to me when it happened, right? You were there with me.
Oh, yeah.
And what happened when I got to 2010?
Well, I guess it was kind of the first time I ever felt something. Right when you got to 2010, it's kind of like my arms went numb and they got all warm.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, dude.
Like, there was definitely a change in the room at that when I said that.
Oh, yeah,
Now,
definitely.
also, too, as soon as we walked in the house, your chest was hurting, right?
Yeah, it felt like someone was like pushing on my chest, and then like my sinuses were clogged.
Oh, she was filling you up, huh?
Well, I think her grandmother or aunt died of like heart disease, so that would make.
I thought it was her grandpa.
Well, no,
Grandfather John, right?
Well, I didn't even get to that part yet.
Okay.
So
bury the lead, damn.
All right, so I'm trying to communicate more.
Wait, no.
I'm trying to get more information out of Ruth.
Right.
And I'm not really
You're experimenting. I get.
Yeah, and I'm not really getting much. So I got the name. I got the name Maureen and Mary, both of which were relevant to the location. I got the date of her death. Nothing else I was getting was relevant. But this name Johnny. About 30 minutes later, Joe, Maureen, and I are standing in this back bedroom. I'm standing in the corner, and my eyes are just tearing, standing in the corner, just feeling this stuff pulse through me. And the name Johnny, Jonathan, Johnny keeps popping into my head. And I said to Maureen, again, I'm like, who is John? Who is Johnny? Jonathan. And she's like, oh, John, that's my grandfather. He died before I was born, but he was married to her forever until he died. He was died in the mid-70s or something like that. And
so she couldn't translate Johnny to John?
She never heard of him being called Johnny before, so it didn't register with her.
And also, if she didn't know her, I guess it makes sense.
But I mean, once again, John's a very common name, so
also that
who knows? But that was another thing that happened. But while we were sitting in that room, looks like our eyes were tearing. Like I was just like
this
heavily
is something
feeling
with
it.
that room. You were in there doing all that. I was in the other room trying to take in that energy and just to suck it in. And I started to. I felt it coming in me because I was going to actually release it, but I didn't completely do it. And then when you're like, Joe, come on, I want you to experiment with this and try this out. I walked in the room. It was me, you, and Maureen, and we shut the door. We're standing there. I'm saying things, you're saying things, like she's saying things, and we had 2 or 3 different things in there because for some weird reason that one energy or entity was attracted to you. That one was attracted to me. It was calling me, and as I started, 1995, 1994. When I got down to 1990, I believe it was 1990. All of a sudden, it was like, boom! That's where it was, and it was kind of by me and Maureen because you were more in the corner, and every time I would get the 1990, I was right by a mirror, and I swear to you, I saw a shadow figure in the mirror, like creeping behind me.
What were you trying to determine the date of at that point?
When did you die?
Okay.
And that might have been from the lady that lived in that other room.
Yeah, Mary.
It's very bizarre to think about how some energies can be a lot more aware of their environment and their state of being than others. Because some of them even, you think of the way some other energies in the past where you guys have experienced or we read about, the way they talk about energies is like they're lost. They don't know they're dead sometimes. They're confused. And you guys probably got the most clear-headed ghost or whatever you want to call it, afterlife spirits or whatever the hell energies that in recent memory that I can think of, right?
Well, the weird thing is, I mean, if this is true, it kind of almost debunks, in a way, that theory that you have about how it's just matter and it's just energy, unless there's layers of it.
I do believe that it is just matter and just energy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it can't carry with it some essence of the person it came from or came in contact with.
And also, like, we're matter and energy right now, and I'm my own person still. Right?
I mean, I personally believe that there's just energy everywhere, and it charges off of us.
If there's any sort of consciousness to this stuff, for it to be able to communicate with us, it would be like us trying to talk to each other in a really loud club with like police sirens and ambulances and everyone talking at once. Like it's probably just like all this static and all this nonsense going around, and you have to like figure out a way to narrow it down. Like I know it's a kind of a dumb example, but in the Superman movie, the recent one,
or the shitty one,
when the kryptonites or whatever
the green sludge, got it.
When they come to this planet, like there's so much extra stimulus that it like makes their brains hurt, just because they're receiving everything at once, and they have to like find a way to narrow it out.
See, I wonder if that beveled air that we see, I wonder if that's just that free floating energy. I do believe there's entities or spirits that, I mean, it's the energy that could, just think, and it's souls in that energy. It's kind of a layered combination of it, like that, like the souls live in that free-forming energy. So it's kind of like almost like two, and you can feel.
I definitely believe that there's different layers of it. There's different types of it.
Yeah.
Before we continue on this story, I don't know how much more there is to it, but do you guys think that, I just had a quick question. Do you guys think that all this technology that we have, all the interference of airwaves and microwaves or whatever the hell, is making this easier or worse for you guys to detect things?
I think it's kind of almost worse in a way. Have you ever walked past electric equipment or like a heavy electric equipment?
Like a TV or whatever. When you get that,
you feel it.
Those old tube TVs, you could like feel.
You can feel the tube TVs when they're on. In the room.
But the weird thing is with tube is that it just sounds just so real.
Kids, ask your parents what tube TVs
normal. Are. Like it's like when I listen to old songs like from like the 20s or like on an old like tube radio. I feel like I'm there, with the souls. It's really weird. It's like a creepy feel.
I was just curious because it could be a nice little helpful push into our mental directions to get all these energies and like figuring out which is the real one, and maybe like all those interferences can help you guys figure out stuff. But maybe it doesn't.
What I'm curious to find out now that I was able to somewhat communicate with the Ruth entity is if I'm going to be able to do this with other energies when we go to places and be like, can you tell me your name? Mm-hmm. Give me your first initial, A, B, C, D. Give me the date that you were born.
Didn't you actually do that by your house too?
I did do that at my house. I'll get to that in a minute. I just got jumbled garbage though. So, all right. So, do you have anything else to add to this?
No, I mean honestly, I thought it was really cool to see Dave. He like opened up,
Jojo.
He's not normally like that. He's like, whoa, this just popped in my head.
So Jojo, what is your perspective, being kind of new to all this and being kind of thrust into seeing this happen live? What was do you think that we're fucking nuts or what?
No, it was definitely cool, and I mean. I guess you could say it seemed a little nuts, but when you were guessing the right date, I mean, it kind of just proves, like, maybe that something's actually there.
Yeah. And it wasn't even so much, I kind of almost feel like if we can find a cooperative one that we can communicate with, and I tried to do this with my friend Dan a few weeks ago when we found a place that was haunted, which I'll get into, and I'm like, go into this empty hallway and just say a number 1 through 20, say it out loud several times to the room, and I'm going to come in and try to ask it what number you said and count up from 20 and see if it tells me. It wasn't successful. It was within a couple of numbers, but I'm wondering if we can, in the future, figure out ways to like actually prove that it can communicate with us and that it isn't just coincidence. So
Yeah, that would be cool. Anything else happen at this party? Or this party house sidetrack thing?
My belief on it is I never would expect Dave to get his past live cards read ever. And
well, I'm not opposed to doing that kind of stuff, but I
was just surprised.
I don't put that much stock in it.
But I think you actually did, like, think about it. Like, you weren't just a complete, like, yeah, fuck, this is bullshit.
I mean, yeah,
like,
I got it.
You opened up yourself
picked,
a little to
I think
it.
I picked 7 or 9 cards or something, and like 5 or 6 of them I was like, yeah, I could totally see that, and then a couple of them like, it's kind of a stretch, but whatever.
But since you kind of opened yourself up to believe a little bit, not saying like you do 100%, but you opened up a little bit more. And
listen, I'll always be a skeptic no matter what, and the next story I'm going to tell is going to be pretty crazy. But I have a story in between these two stories that I need to tell. So we went and
But you did open up,
Yeah.
and right after you opened up a little to that, when we went to that place, boom, that shit just popped in your head. And
All right,
maybe that
but-
had something to do with it.
So, okay, so we went to this house Maureen brought us to. The very next week, almost a week later, I was up in Wisconsin, and I was driving past this old inn. It was like a restaurant in an old house, and it was like seeping energy out into the street, hundreds of feet away from where it was. And
Really?
I literally had to slam on my brakes and do the like
Overflowing energy.
U-turn to go back to this place. So I pull into the parking lot of this place. And as soon as I get out of the car, I feel it. As soon as I walk up to the front door, I feel it. And it's this old, like, 1890s house that was converted into, like, an inn and, it was almost like, it looked like a bed and breakfast, but it's basically just a fine dining place. So I walk into this place. As I'm walking up the front steps, I feel it really strongly. As I'm walking into the foyer, I feel it really strongly. And then I walk in, and there's this staircase that goes upstairs, and there's like this entrance. And as I walk into the place, it's like a Saturday night, and there's people all over the place.
Really?
In the place, but I'm feeling it, which is weird because in a lot of these haunted places that we go into, if there's people around, we don't really feel much until the people are gone.
It's almost impossible to feel it when there's a bunch of people around.
It was all over. It was there. It was like it was ever present throughout the whole place. So the first thing I did was I came around the corner and I ran into a waitress, and she's like, "Oh, can I help you?" And I'm like, "Is this place haunted? Like, I'm just going to ask you straight up. Is this place haunted?" And she's like, "Well," she's kind of like a little taken back, and she's like, "Well, they say it is." And I'm like, "Is the owner here or is the manager?" And she's like, "The owner's right around the corner in the bar." So usually my approach with this is always to be kind of sheepish about it and be like, hey, I don't mean to startle you or freak you out or whatever, but like, I definitely get a weird vibe in this place, and is this place haunted, and I'd like to know more. I walked up to this lady, and I handed her an SOS card, and I was like, tell me about it. Like, I'm not even going to ask you if this place is haunted, because I know it's haunted. I know you know it's haunted. So let's
Don't bullshit me, lady. I know it's haunted.
I think that's the coolest approach.
Yeah, and she just opened up right away, and she's like, okay, well, first of all, can these things steal money? And I'm like, I mean, it's possible
Hey,
they can move stuff around. So.
Hide it for a while, make it disappear, and come back like we've experienced.
Yeah, and so she said like $150 disappeared off the bar one night when nobody was in the room. Like it was like 2 of them there, and they had left the money on the bar, and then they left. They walked back into the room. The doors were locked. locked and everything, and
Did it
money
ever come
just
back or no?
money just disappeared. No, they said it just disappeared.
Well, I'm just saying I can make money disappear
Well, ghost
really
clothes are
quick.
expensive. Yeah.
But so she was very open about it, and she wanted to talk more about it and stuff. But it was Saturday night. I didn't want to like get in her hair too much.
It was not an old brothel either, right?
No, it was built in either 1892 or 93.
So
And
maybe a hooker ghost
around the
grabbing
same
money
time
and
as
leaving.
the same time as the Lizzie Borden murders,
Whoa.
1891 or 1892, I think she said. But anyway, so it was really great. It was I got to go upstairs where they used to live, and there's a blue moon like beer sign in the window, so it casts this blue
cool.
light all over the upstairs. So it's like really eerie and creepy up there. But it was like super strong and creepy up there.
You know what's weird? I mean, I just thought about this now. What if, because the couple environments that we were in, they had an empty upstairs, but it's just massive downstairs where all these people just, or all that energy down there. And what if, just like heat rises, right? What if energy rises?
Well, yeah,
and-
but I think that there's...
and it manifests.
Well, I think
with
the energy
something,
that's there from, the actual energy,
But
ghost
the energy
or whatever you wanna
rises
call it.
if it's upstairs. It manifests.
Well, I think it just naturally
takes-
moves away from human activity, but I swear this one was like omnipresent. It was like all around.
But us, the free floating or the free moving energy which we produce, what if that eventually it rises, and if it's up there hiding out, if it
yeah,
almost
but it
charges
also,
or takes
but we also
from-
find it in basements and stuff too. It seems to
yeah.
gravitate towards places where people are not.
I think I don't think they follow like a gravity thing. So-
I mean, I'm
I
throwing
still-
it out there. I don't know.
I still equate it to like a raccoon or a skunk. You know it's around, but it doesn't come out from under the deck or
Right.
the porch until it's dark and
until
everyone's
people
gone.
aren't around, right?
'Cause
So are you gonna come back and to that place?
Yeah, she was totally gung ho about doing something, so we can probably do a full.
we could sleep there, right?
Yeah, we can.
That'd be nice.
We can stay the night there. We can probably do a full research project.
That'd be cool to
round
do.
up.
I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's
cool.
it's a really cool place too. It's a really neat old house, and they got like all the old antique lamps and everything. And
So what's
pretty
the
neat.
what's the story in between your other stories?
all right, so that was the story in between other stories.
Oh, that was okay.
So fast forward to the following week.
Week?
I think. Oh no, this was September. I remember it was September 10th going into the 11th.
Okay.
So it was the night of September 10th going into September.
Oh, I just got it by
11th.
11, of course.
So what happened was I was in my bed sleeping. All right, my girlfriend was sleeping next to me. I was having a dream. This was at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I know it was 5 o'clock in the morning because that's when I woke up. I was having a dream that me, Joe, and Jay were investigating a haunted place. It was a kind of a nondescript condo or apartment.
So you couldn't nail the details, like you don't know where.
No, it was just like a nondescript apartment, whatever.
So a non-familiar place, though.
Right, and it was just kind of a generic condo like your grandparents would live in or whatever. And so I'm walking around the place, and I keep feeling something picking at my shirt. And every time I turn around, Joe would be standing near me, and I'd be like, Joe, stop messing
Was
with
they wearing
me.
pants?
I'd be like, Joe, stop messing with me. And he'd be like, I'm not doing
And a
anything.
diaper.
Dude, I'm not doing anything, in his classic Joe fashion. And I thought he was messing with me because even in the dream, I'm a skeptic about weird things happening.
Like
So-
Joe.
But in
Joe is a
reality,
weird
Dave's
thing happening.
usually the one messing with us.
So as
Wolfing berries at us
I'm
and
walking into,
sticks.
I'm walking out of the hallway into this, like what I guess is the living room. The lights are all off in it. There's no furniture in it. And as soon as I step foot onto the carpet, I get overcome by this energy and I collapse onto the floor in like a fetal position. Then I snap awake and I'm laying in a bed that I think is inside this apartment that we're investigating later on that night. And I had passed out and somebody put me in the bed and I'm waking up. So I'm waking up in this bed and I open my eyes and at the foot of the bed is a person standing there. About 5'2" or 5'3". It seemed like I want to say it was like a teenage boy around JoJo's age, 12, 13, 14 years old.
Uh-oh.
Just standing there,
Were you astral projecting, JoJo?
standing there looking at me at the foot of the bed. Now, I was terrified, but at the same time I was like, this is what everyone talks about. This is the the thing at the end of the bed. So I immediately start trying to talk to it. I immediately start saying, "Who are you? What do you want? How can I help you?"
Whereas most people just hide under the covers.
But I can't get the words out.
Yeah,
like
you're
I'm
stuck. You
stuck, and I
cannot-
can't
you
get the words
cannot
out.
speak.
And part of my brain at the time was like,
Try him.
I want to communicate with it, but at the same time, I want to alert Joe and Jay, who I know are somewhere near me.
And you can't.
And at the same time, I'm trying to lift my foot up and touch it with my foot. I'm trying to put my foot on it and touch it, just to see if I can feel it. This is going on for a good 30 seconds.
Okay.
And then I realize that I am not in a dream. I am not in a apartment that we're investigating. I'm in my own bed in my house.
Yeah.
And this thing is there. Now, the moment I realize that, I blink, open my eyes back up, and it had turned into a shadow on the wall. So,
like a natural shadow?
just like a natural shadow on the wall.
All the time.
But what happened was,
Kind of like Ghost, the movie.
so what happened was my girlfriend stirs awake a couple of seconds after this ends. She goes to get a drink, and I tell her about it, and she's just like, "Yeah, that's great. I'm going to sleep." And she just kind of rolls back over, goes to sleep. But in the morning, I tell her this whole story again, and she tells me a few minutes before it happened to me, she had woken up and she saw a shadow of a man on the wall that she just assumed was just a natural shadow too, and she just went back to sleep. But she thought it was worth mentioning that.
That happened to me at the Colonial Inn. After all that energy got stuck, and you were just tired. I didn't sleep in my rocks that night, and I
remember.
It was horrible. It always happens.
The
to
thing
me.
is about this
'Cause
situation.
After it went to you, it went to me.
This was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. But there's a second part to this. First of all, I know I was having sleep paralysis. I know that's what it was because I've had it before. I could move my body, but I can't. It's like you're awake, but you're still kind of half dreaming, and your body isn't awake yet.
Yeah, but
so what happens
there's
is
a difference.
you're immediately terrified that you can't move your body, so your brain starts to fill in all this REM sleep dream bullshit, and that's the things that you're seeing and feeling. Because when people have sleep paralysis, they always feel like somebody's in the room, somebody's watching them, there's people surrounding
We
them.
referenced The Nightmare, which is a documentary that covers that too.
But this is the other thing. When I was looking at this thing watching me, looking at me, I could clearly see the defined silhouette of streetlights coming in from behind it, through little cracks in the shades. I could see a silhouette, a clear silhouette, like a clear outline of this person, which I know I couldn't have possibly seen because I was not wearing my glasses. So it would have been blurry to me in my regular eyesight. So that's one clue. And the second clue is the fact that that I know for a fact that I was having sleep paralysis. So I don't think that there was anything actually there. But the problem is, I stir awake, my girlfriend stirs awake, I tell her, she goes back to sleep. I get up to go to the bathroom. As I get up to go to the bathroom, I have to walk through this little foyer in my front of my place. There's the kitchen, the bathroom, the dining room, and they're all connected by this one little square of space when you walk in the front door. As I walked through that little square of space, I walked right through an energy that was there in my place, that I could feel, that was really strong. And as I'm taking a leak in the bathroom, I'm talking to it like, "Listen, man, if you want to come talk to me or communicate with me, that's fine, but you can't do it while I'm sleeping. You're going to make me have a heart attack, and my brain's going to explode. You're freaking me out, man."
Unless it wants a partner.
Well, the weird thing is how you said you were moving your foot.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain that?
But I was trying to move my foot, but I couldn't. But because even in this, but Joey, well, I know, but even in this sleep paralysis, dreamlike state that I was having, I was still in the mindset of I want to communicate with it, I want to touch it, I want to feel it. So what were you gonna say, Jojo?
Yeah.
Well, I actually had some sleep paralysis incidents myself. I don't know, maybe it was the same time around that you had yours, but I actually had two incidents, and it kind of sucked because it was a week after. The first one, I was in my mom's apartment, just sleeping. I was falling in and out of sleep, because I had the TV on, I was just listening in and off, and I was just closing my eyes. Went to sleep, woke up, went to sleep, woke up, and then the last time I went to go to sleep, I was just I knew I was awake, and then the back of my eyelids just got pure white, almost as if someone's putting a flashlight in your face. And at the same time that happened, I heard like something turn the power off, like a ew. And that scared the crap out of me because I was kind of awake, but at the same time I was kind of asleep. So as soon as that happened, I shook up. I woke. I was like, "Whoa, what the heck?" It scared me, and I couldn't move. Yeah, no, I couldn't move. I was trying to move, and I felt like I could move like a little bit, like a slight inch, but I couldn't. And like you said, when you're moving your foot, whenever I get sleep paralysis, because I've got it before.
Yeah, it's like you're able to move like a finger or a foot, and then it all comes. It's like it's like Kill Bill, where you got to like move your pinky toe.
Yeah, I always move like the
try
tips
to
of my
move your
fingers.
foot, and then you come out of it.
Yeah.
The one time I had the sleep paralysis, where I think you're held down. I mean, it's probably half.
Well, but
and half.
this is the thing is every incident,
it's completely different.
But the thing is, every incident of something was holding me down. Every incident of there were aliens surrounding my bed. Every incident of like I couldn't move my body and there was something there watching. These are all sleep paralysis incidents. And what happens is, people like to say, "No, I know it was real," but what it is your brain is on, your eyes are open, but you're still like stuck in dreamland.
The one
so
time
your brain immediately freaks out and fills in all these terrifying images.
But the one time I cannot explain this, okay, is I was having it, okay? Something was in me. It's always, I'm in a place, I'm feeling ghosts, and all of a sudden it comes to me, and bam, it sucks inside me, and then I wake up and I can't get up and I fight it off. This time I woke up and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, holy shit. I get up, I can move, and all of a sudden it came back at me and threw me down again. And I was like, ugh. And then I couldn't talk. I'm fighting it, and bam, I felt it shoot out of me, and I was like, holy shit. I was scared shitless, I know I was awake. For like a little bit, and I could move, and then it came back in me. I can't explain that.
I always liken it to like the wall switch where you kind of have it like toggled right between on and off, and it like could go either.
Yeah, kind of.
And it's like you're just kind of like right on that edge of like dream, like consciousness and unconsciousness, where like anything can seem real and anything can happen.
Well, let me say this.
But the thing is that there was a physical presence in my place after this happened.
And that's where I was getting at. How many times do you wake up in the middle of the night, and then all of a sudden you have something right there on the side of your bed because your brain is still in that state. Because I think when you go to sleep, your soul kind of can drift off to the other realm.
Right. The other question is that are we creating that energy out of our own bodies once we wake up? Like when we're experiencing something that intense, are we leaving an imprint in the place or in the room that we're feeling again?
And we could. I understand what you're saying. Is that still some of our energy? But I think they feed off of us when we're at our weakest state.
The thing is that I've had a situation similar to that before in my place. My landlord's sister died in the apartment that I live in. I try not to think about it.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned this before.
Yeah, she died of cancer. So she died, and she was surrounded by family, and she died of. It wasn't like she died from like some
horrible accident or something.
Fire
I get you.
Or anything like that. So it's suffice it to say that she probably went peacefully. So there's probably not much of an impression left. Whatever, but she did die in the place. So and plus the house was built in like the 1920s or something like that. So it's an old house. But there was definitely something in my place, and I felt it. And it was hung around for a couple of days, and I tried to communicate with it and do the alphabet thing and got a few letters out of it, but not much. But the thing is that I had another situation a couple years ago, shortly after I moved in, where I was falling asleep, and I had a dream that I had woken up and walked into the dining room, and an energy jumped on me and was like taking my breath away, and I was like, and my girlfriend at the time like shook me awake. She's like, "Are you alive? What's happening? Are you having a heart attack?" And I'm like, "No, I was having a dream that I was in the other room getting attacked by some spirit or something." And she's like, "You were making that noise in person, and I thought you were dying." And this is why I woke up my girlfriend when the incident happened to me on September 11th, is because I wanted to see if I had actually been talking, like trying to talk to it, and see if I was actually physically talking in real life. And she said, "No, I didn't hear anything."
Do you warn your girlfriends in advance? This stuff might happen. Like,
No,
Yeah,
I
but
mean she was aware of it. So
The weird thing is, though, that we have all these similar things happen to us. I wonder if, I mean, is it a coincidence or is it just us because we could
Well,
feel it?
I honestly think that there is some sort of, it's a common psychological thing that happens to a lot of different people, and it's just kind of a brain.
But maybe since we just know how to feel that energy, and
it's a brain thing. But at the same time, this actual energy was in my place. So is that what I was seeing, or was that just inducing my brain to come up with these crazy things? Was there something physically there, or was it all just my brain fritzing out because I was having sleep paralysis? So
I don't know. I mean, I questioned so much stuff, and when I was younger, I thought that maybe it's a possibility that the good spirits are up in above ground. That's where they dwell. The bad ones, they're basement and below ground, and they can kind of go back and forth. I don't know.
All that.
I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know. I have so many different theories.
The thing
Maybe
is
that's
that
why
like
people
once
say
a building
heaven and hell.
Your disdain
is
is
gone,
amazing.
like Morseland is completely raised to the ground. And it's a parking lot now, but you can still feel the energy there, and it's not upstairs or downstairs.
But
now,
I'm
'cause
just
it's
saying,
on
like,
level
the
ground.
negative energies would be, like, lower and the positive energies would be higher. I mean, not saying that they can't go up and down, but
so are you saying that there could be a way where you can have a spiritual tornado in the nether realm?
they could
Yeah,
be.
maybe, like, on the main
called,
floor
a
you can get-
ghost-nado?
Because when he rises,
So I have one more incident I want to talk about
Yep.
before we go. This was a couple weeks after the sleep paralysis incident. I was tooling around in Joliet foraging for the day with my buddy Dan, who works for me with my produce company. And as we were finishing up the day, it got dark, and we drove up into Joliet right along Route 66. And as we drove into Joliet, if you've ever been in Joliet, Illinois, it's a really old town. A lot of the stuff there is older than even stuff you'll find in Chicago because it was built before the Chicago fire kind of destroyed everything. And we're coming up the main road. I'm not sure what it's called, into Joliet, and it kind of goes along the train tracks and then curves up sharply northward into downtown Joliet. And as we come around that curve, we drove through like a ball of energy, and I felt it go through me in the car, and I was like, "Whoa!" And Dan's like, "What happened?" And I'm like, "Oh, we just drove through something. We got to check it out." We pulled over. A couple blocks away, there was a church, and as we're walking back to the spot that I felt stuff at, I got my camera out and I'm taking pictures and stuff, and I keep getting all this sparkly stuff in the camera, and I know that there's energy there. And we always discounted like orbs and things like that as lens flare or whatever,
Or dust or whatever.
dust or moisture in the air. But I'm really starting to believe that is the warm weather version of how the mist pictures show up, that it just manifests itself in a different way in the flash during warm weather.
saying current weather affects the way that we're seeing.
I think so,
Yeah,
because
kinda
most of the
like that,
mist
too.
pictures that we get are in the
cold.
winter and cold
right.
weather.
We
always have
We've
jackets.
gotten it in warm weather too, but not
True.
as frequently.
But also too, like I really do think that it kind of almost starts off as orbs and then it gets into.
Well,
the mist.
I think what we're getting pictures of, we're not getting pictures of the mist itself. We're getting the picture of whatever photochemical reaction is happening when the flash hits it, and it momentarily pushes moisture out of the air or whatever, and that's what we're getting the photograph of whatever reaction we're causing it to have with the flash is what you're getting a photograph of.
Yeah, it's not like they
So-
look like mist, most likely.
Yeah, it's not like you're getting a picture of the mist itself, but you're getting a picture of the
energy held in with the moisture in the air.
it's
That's what I think.
it's hard to
It's the energy getting
like
stuck
when you
in the
get a
moisture
picture.
of the
For
air.
instance,
It's
when
like,
you take a picture of when you see your breath, you're not seeing your breath.
Exactly.
You're seeing the moisture.
That's exactly what
Right.
it is.
So-
And that's exactly what
But okay,
So you both arrived to the same
Yes.
conclusion.
So we're walking up to where I felt this stuff. There's this big drastic, like 90-degree curve that comes around. And we walk up to this building. I don't even know what it is, and I'm taking pictures, and I get this picture of a mist separate, like up above the building, but and it's a very small mist, but it's like not only did I notice it on my camera lens or the preview picture on the camera, but Dan noticed it too, who's never really been into this. And as I'm feeling stuff, as I'm walking up to it, Dan's like, whoa, dude. Like, he's realizing that this is the first time he's feeling it too. So we walk up to this building, and it says police station on it. I'm like, oh, I guess this is the police station. And we walk into the open doors and walk into the building and stuff. And it's just super intense in there. And then I see down this hallway that there's a security guy sitting at the in a desk, like way at the end of this room. So we walk in there, and I go to talk to him. And at this point, I realize we're in the train station, and there's a police substation inside the train station. So I walk up to this guy. His name's John, and I'm like, hey, this is going to seem weird, but we were driving by here and just I felt this really. I gave him a card, explained to him what I felt, and I'm like, hey, is there anything going on in this place? He's like, well, this station was built in the in like 1912 or something like that. He's like, we've heard plenty of stories, and a lot of people have died right out front here because of that drastic curve right in front of the train station. You can imagine people are about to miss their train. They go to run across the street. Somebody's coming around this 90-degree curve at 50 miles an hour and doesn't see the person crossing the street. Wallop. And they're so there's been a lot of pedestrian deaths there, and I'm sure plenty of car accidents as well.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, he didn't have any specific stories, but he's like, there's definitely people that have said things and people that are afraid to be in here at night. And throughout the whole place, not only most of the main station was closed down. We were just walking through the hallways and stuff, but there's banquet rooms in there and all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's because it looks like a set from an old 20s gangster movie with all like the shiny brass railings.
Well, that's what feel I get when I'm
I
feel just old energy there, and it's just kind of prohibition mobster.
Yeah, But that was a really cool find. That was another yet another notch on the belt of like random places we just kind of came across, and sure enough, it is haunted. And then behind the train station, there's like just a slew of all these abandoned factories and buildings, and it's creepy as shit back there. And we were walking around back there taking pictures and stuff too. Didn't get anything too significant other than that one small missed picture. I gave it to Jay last time I saw him, so hopefully he'll be able to put that.
Hopefully by the time this episode comes out, at least in the episode show notes, that picture will be available for our listeners to see. But
so just in the time that we got back from Minnesota, there's been kind of a lot of revelations with me. One, the revelation that I can somewhat communicate with this stuff. Two, that the energy that we're getting photographs of may manifest itself in different ways, in different temperatures. And three, something visited me while I was sleeping, and I had a really profound, crazy experience that I never had, but it still goes down as one of the craziest things I've ever experienced. So that was pretty nutty.
Yeah, it's definitely a scary feeling.
Yeah. Never had that myself. I've woken up suddenly, like startled awake, but I just think it was a dream.
We've all had those dreams where you feel like you're falling back into your bed and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, I've had those too. This is not the same as that.
But this is being actually held down.
I've woken up like choking before, but I just think I just slept with my face up.
I think the thing that makes it even scarier for us is because we know that feel of how it comes to us and how that energy gets sucked inside us. It's the same feeling, like when it's very strong, and then and we're like, fuck, it's in me, because we know that feel, it's in me, and then we go to talk, and you can't because it's taking all your energy.
Yeah.
It's...
All right, guys.
Fucked up feeling.
All right, I think that might be it for the bonus. Anything else anyone has? Jojo, anything? Last thoughts?
No.
Nope. Dave?
I think that is about it.
Senior Joe?
I'm not wearing any. What?
You just had to say something, didn't you? Well, if you are not totally dissatisfied with my voice quite yet and are into movies, check out my movie podcast called Another Movie Podcast on iTunes and so on, and Stitcher and all those places. I have that going on as well as the show. But for now, until next time, this is SOS-Radio signing off.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to the SOS-Radio podcast. Be sure to rate us on iTunes and Google Play Music. Download our free mobile app by searching Supernatural Occurrence Studies on Google Play, Apple App Store, and Amazon App Store. Visit us online for ghostly photos that coincide with our podcasts, videos, and other exclusive content at sos-radio.com, chicagosos.com, and supernaturaloccurrencestudies.com. Follow us on Facebook at SOS-Radio. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chicago Ghosts. We're on YouTube at Chicago's Own Supernatural Occurrence Studies. Follow Jason Knight on Google+. Remember, that's Knight, N-H-Y-T-E. Email us anytime at submissions@sos-radio.com. And call or text 872-529-0SOS. That's Chicago area code 872-529-0767. And as always, kind listeners, keep your head up, eyes open, and question everything.
You want to save your soul from hell, riding on our range. Cowboy, change your ways today. With us you will ride, ride at the devil's herd.